Hello students, my name is Gaurav Bansal and let us start our next topic of the exchange rate. This is 15th video in the series and already I've covered almost all the topics in economics in a format where we do quick revision and then we look at all the previous year question and then eventually we also look at some practice question. So in this session we are going to look at the exchange rate. The first, we are going to discuss the very exchange rate topic itself. What is exchange rate? This is actually the most toughest topic in our entire syllabus because the very fundamental idea of exchange rate is flawed. People have a misconception because of the common observation that we do in our media and common usage. Now let us understand what is the problem. Exchange rate is defined as value of domestic currency. Now in case of India it would be rupee, INR in terms of foreign currency. So it can be any foreign currency, dollar, euro, etc. But unfortunately the way we are accustomed to use exchange rate is something like this. $1 is equal to 82 rupees. 1 pound is equal to 104 rupees. 1 euro is equal to 92 rupees. Something like this is what we are accustomed to. This is not India's exchange rate. This is the US dollar exchange rate against rupee. We are defining $1 in terms of rupee. The exchange rate for rupee for Indians would actually be 1 rupee is equal to $0.0122. This is the exchange rate. And you know, this fundamental problem that we always observe due to the very way the topic is covered in newspapers or in media, everybody always read this type of notification or this type of recording of data, not this type of recording of data. Now, because we observe this data, a lot of students make mistake in PT examination. That is why I am discussing it here. Now, what is the problem that we face? We use the term appreciation and depreciation, and we say when exchange rate increase it is called appreciation, when exchange rate fall down we call it depreciation. That is how it is always defined in the books. But unfortunately when you are fed this data, I've seen a lot of students actually doing it, that rupee has gone from 82 per dollar to almost 85 per dollar. Now, since there is increase in the value, okay, if you look at the number only, the number has gone from 82 to 85. Students misinterpret this change as appreciation. Not many students do that, but still about 20 to 25% students make this mistake in PT when they try to assess. And you know, not only students, in fact, this is a problem that is there in many books also. Because they have not explained exchange rate correctly, they have made mistakes in some of the other concepts later on. Unfortunately, even in Ramesh Singh, there is an error because of this problem. Anyways, let us get back to the topic. So now you understand exchange rate is value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. If rupee fall against dollar, that would be depreciation. If rupee improve against dollar, that would be appreciation. Since a lot of students understand like this, they will not make a mistake because of this problem. But if you simply understand exchange rate increase is appreciation and you are accustomed to this, then you can make mistake. Anyways, let us move ahead. What are the type of exchange rate? The types are fixed or floating. The fixed exchange rate is almost a history now because the fixed exchange rate is not used by majority of countries today. Almost all the major countries have shifted from fixed to floating. So traditionally, countries used to have fixed exchange rate. I will not go too much into the history of this. Already I've spent a lot of time in explaining exchange rate. This is a revision session, so I will keep it short. So traditionally, countries used fixed exchange rate, but due to the activities of IMF, World Bank, WTO, etc., most of the countries have been forced to shift to floating exchange rate. And most of the experts agree that floating exchange rate is actually better, although there are problems for the country. In the floating exchange rate, government does not have too much of control over the exchange rate, whereas in fixed, government itself fix it. So obviously governments lose some control. So that is the challenge here. In the fixed exchange rate, central bank decide what is exchange rate. In the floating exchange rate, it is based upon market. Whereas in case of fixed, based on RBI decision. Now, if we are talking about India, then if it would be USA, in American context, fixed exchange rate would be determined by the Federal Reserve, okay, or something like that. So I hope you got the point. So we have fixed and floating exchange rate types, and most of the countries today are floating exchange rate. Now within floating exchange rate, we have two types. One is managed float. Okay, managed floating. And another is dirty floating. See, although the floating exchange rate is based upon the market, but still government do play a role even today. Government have a role, and you can't deny government that role. So in managed floating exchange rate, governments intervene to prevent fluctuations, to prevent shocks to the system. Whereas in dirty floating, governments manipulate the exchange rate itself. So what China does is dirty floating. Okay. What India does is considered managed floating. Although on some occasions USA has called out India also, that India also intervene excessively. But in general, for example, the current status of Indian currency as per the American record is managed float. And as per track record also, India does not manage its currency too much. Okay, we leave it onto market, but we try to prevent fluctuations so that our exporter, importer do not face problem. And every country does it. It is their right to do so. They should do it. So there is nothing wrong in managed floating. The floating exchange rate that we have is a managed floating exchange rate. But there is a problem in the dirty floating exchange rate. And China and some other countries follow dirty floating. So this is the about types of exchange rate. Then we have exchange rate movements. The exchange rate movements are four: depreciation or devaluation, or appreciation, or revaluation. So this is what we have in the exchange rate movement. Devaluation, revaluation is a movement as per the devaluation and revaluation are exchange rate movement as per the government decision. Government decides to decrease the value of currency or increase the value of currency, that is known as appreciation or depreciation. Devaluation or revaluation. Okay, so just pardon me for a minute actually. So there is some background noise coming in, that's why I was a bit distracted for a moment. Let me just check it. Okay, that was because of air conditioner. Now, and the fall or increase in the value of currency due to the market forces. is called depreciation or appreciation. Now let us talk about it. Depreciation, devaluation, they both indicate fall in value of domestic currency. Now depreciation happens because of market forces. Okay, why depreciation happens? When you are not doing well in terms of earning of foreign exchange. Means you are not exporting enough to cover up your import, or maybe capital is going out from your country. Basically you are losing foreign exchange. And when you lose foreign exchange, maybe because you import too much, you are not able to export much, many people send money abroad from your country, your companies are investing world over, number of reasons can be there. If you are losing your money to other countries, foreign exchange to other countries, then your currency will depreciate. However, if this happens because of a government order, it is devaluation. So that is how the things work here. Now, we have discussed why depreciation happens, okay, when there is outflow of forex. Depreciation happens because of outflow of forex. Oppositely, appreciation happens when there is inflow of forex. We are earning more foreign exchange. Okay, there are excess of dollars in the market because we have earned too much of dollars. Then the value of dollar will fall, rupee will improve. That is how it works. And revaluation, when government takes a order that we increase the value of rupee. In today's context, it is depreciation and appreciation which is relevant, because no major country follow fixed exchange rate. So devaluation, revaluation is no longer a valid policy. Now, why some countries try to achieve devaluation or something like that? Why they artificially cut down the value of currency? See, when there is depreciation and the value of domestic currency fall, this also means the value of domestic products falls. In terms of foreign currency. So, in the case of depreciation, the value of domestic products fall in terms of foreign currencies. So it means they have become cheaper for foreigners. So that is why we should be able to export more and we would be importing less. Because if our products are cheaper for them, their products are more expensive for us. So this is the basic reason why countries love when their currency falls down. So this is the benefit of devaluation. That is why China also does managed floating. China does not do devaluation. What China does is managed floating. Artificially it keep the value of currency low. Whereas appreciation has opposite impact. Okay. So depreciation improves current account deficit. Okay, may even give you a surplus. Whereas appreciation is likely to worsen up the current account deficit. So this is about exchange rate movements. We have discussed depreciation, appreciation, revaluation and devaluation here. Next, we have nominal versus real exchange rate. Now, for all practical purposes, what we use is nominal exchange rate. Okay, another very simple anecdote is we never use real exchange rate in real life. Okay, for all practical purpose, what we use is nominal exchange rate. Real exchange rate is an abstract concept. Okay, it does not exist. Nobody use it in transactions, in usage. It is used for research purposes. It is used by economists, data scientists, etc. So they use real exchange rate for various calculations, comparisons, etc. But people are not going to use real exchange rate. So real exchange rate, it is actually a bit of a strange line. Okay, real exchange rate is never used in real life for transactions. So this is about nominal and real exchange rate. So what is my bad, today there has been quite a lot of disturbances actually. Anyways, let us continue with the topic. I'm sorry. So the real exchange rate is never used in real life for transaction. Okay, how do we calculate real exchange rate? Basically, what we always have is the nominal exchange rate. Markets use nominal exchange rate. If we have to convert it into real exchange rate, we actually need to adjust the exchange rate for inflation. Adjust nominal exchange rate for inflation, okay, in both countries. So that is how we get the real exchange rate. And calculation of real exchange rate is something that you should never bother yourself too much. Okay, you should not bother with that because its calculation can be very, very technical, complex. You need to know the concept that real exchange rate is the nominal exchange rate adjusted for inflation, and that it is not used for transactions. It is used for research purposes. So that is the utility of real exchange rate and its application. The next topic is NEER and REER. So NEER is nominal effective exchange rate. So nominal and real we have already seen. Now there is one more word which is added, and that is effective. Real effective exchange rate and nominal effective exchange rate. So real and nominal we have discussed. But what is this effective? Effective means exchange rate against number of currencies on average. So this is effective exchange rate. So whether it is nominal or real, basically your average exchange rate against other currency would be the effective exchange rate. So what we use for transaction purpose in day-to-day life is actually not only nominal exchange rate, but bilateral exchange rate. Okay, so for example, I wrote $1 equal to 82, £1 equal to 108 or 109, let us say whatever it is. That is nominal bilateral exchange rate against only one currency. But if I want to know how rupee is performing against all other currencies or major currencies, how do I know that? Okay, on average how rupee is performing. For that I have to look at effective exchange rate. So effective exchange rate looks at how on average you perform. So India has NEER series and REER series. Okay, their base year is 2005, and the NEER and REER both have two baskets, 6 currency, 36 currency. Okay, 6 topmost currency in our trade. So dollar, okay, dirham, Singapore dollar, yuan, okay, these are some of the top currencies in our trade basket. Currencies that we use for most of the trade. So top 6 currency in our trade. Whereas in 36 we take the top 36 currency in our trade, and we take an average of that. So that is how we work out for NEER and REER. So just like exchange rate, it works, just that it is an average against all currencies rather than looking at against only one currency. Rest, it is nominal and effective both. So just like any other currency, you need to remember the same thing. If NEER increase, that would mean appreciation. If REER is also same, if it increase, that would mean appreciation, but in real exchange rate. So increase in their value is appreciation and decrease in their value is depreciation. And just like we look at the exchange rate, we should look at it. Never confuse yourself with just that it is an average. Okay, otherwise the change of the exchange rate means the same thing whether here or there. Now let us look at the question. There will be 2 questions I think on this topic, so we will cover it again also. Question number 1. The price of any currency in international market is decided by the... Do World Bank decide the price exchange rate of currency? No, World Bank never has been interested with that. Demand for goods and services provided by that country concerned. That is correct. Okay, what you produce, basically your export. How much is the demand for that in other countries? Since we are talking about international market, obviously we are talking about international trade. That should be understood. International demand. So obviously that matters. Stability of the government of the concerned country. So that is also important, because if government is unstable, its currency will always be of low value. Stability is a very, very important parameter. Okay. Economic potential of the country in the question. So potential does not really affect the exchange rate. Okay. Exchange rate is always about the current market demand and supply. So your current market demand and supply is affected by a stability of the government. If tomorrow we lose stability, immediately markets will be under shock and market will change their behavior. Economic potential, even if they improve, let us say our 50-year forecast improve, okay, but this is not going to change the ground situation too much immediately. So it is like that. So answer in this case would be 2 and 3. 4 look like a very good candidate, but it is not. Okay, next question. 2019. In context of India, which of the following factor is a contributor to reduce the risk of currency crisis? Okay, let us look at it. The foreign currency earning of India's IT sector. Okay, reducing the risk of currency crisis. Okay. So, foreign currency earning of India's IT sector is correct. That reduces the risk because it gives us export earning. The more and more forex we earn, we reduce our risk of currency crisis. So 1 is correct. Second, increasing the government expenditure. If we increase the government expenditure, actually this would lead to increase in fiscal deficit. And when fiscal deficit increase, then what happens? When fiscal deficit increase, the stability of the government will fall down. Okay, and not just about stability, its bond rating will also go down. It will be able to borrow at higher rate. So this is not going to reduce the currency risk. This will actually increase the currency risk. So when you want to control your currency risk, you basically try to cut the deficits, not increase them. Remittances from Indians abroad. So as I said, anything which gives you earning is going to improve the currency crisis risk. Okay. So answer would be B, 1 and 3. So let us look at the next question. Question 3. If another global financial crisis happens in the near future, which of the following actions or policies are most likely to give some immunity to India? Okay. Again, basically, very similar question to previous year. And because what was going on in the world at that time, that prompted these questions. 2020, already the COVID crisis was there. Okay, let us look at the option. Not depending on short-term foreign borrowings. That is correct. We should convert our foreign loans into long-term loans. Short-term foreign borrowings are not good if we want to reduce risk. So not depending upon them would improve the condition, will bring some immunity. Second option, opening up to more foreign banks. So opening up to more foreign banks, what does it mean? It means we are borrowing more and more from international markets. Okay, we are reaching out to more foreign banks. It is not opening up more foreign banks, opening up to. Okay, so opening up to more foreign banks. So if we are going to open up to more foreign banks, that would actually mean we are taking more foreign loan, which is not a good thing. Okay, so this is not a correct option. Maintaining full capital account convertibility, that will take away control from us, that will reduce immunity. Okay, so 3 is also not correct. 1 only will be the answer. This is 2021. The effect of devaluation of a currency, okay, is that it necessarily, so necessarily is very important, that means it should happen, improve the competitiveness of the domestic export in the foreign market. That is correct. Okay, devaluation will immediately improve the competitiveness of the domestic export. They will become cheaper in international markets. So there is no doubt about it. So first is correct. Even if it's a very strong statement, it is correct. Second, increase the foreign value of domestic currency. That means that there will be appreciation of currency. No, in fact, we are devaluing the currency, so it decreases the foreign value of currency, improves the trade balance. No, this is likely to happen, but this is not necessarily going to happen. So there is a theory called J curve. According to J curve, actually J curve looks like this. The shape of this curve resembles the letter J, that is why we call it J curve. And J curve basically shows on the y-axis here we have the surplus in BOP, and this side we have deficit in BOP. So if you go down, basically your deficits are increasing. If you go up, your deficits are falling. You are coming in surplus. That is what it means. Now, J curve argue that yes, a country is going to improve its trade balance, but initially it will fall. So effect of devaluation is that it is necessarily going to improve the trade balance. That is also not correct. Because even if we look at the J curve, it is possible that J curve of a country is something like this. So maybe even after 5 years it may not be able to improve. Okay, so we do not know about. Many countries, actually the shape of the J curve depends upon the elasticity of export and import, and we call it the Marshall-Lerner condition. Okay, so very technical topic. Okay, but still J curve doesn't say that any country is necessarily going to benefit. Okay, so that would depend upon its elasticity, and that is the Marshall-Lerner condition. So improve the trade balance is dependent. So 1 only is the answer. So answer for 4 is A. Next question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statement. An increase in NEER. Simply treat them. इनका हवा मत बनाओ, ज़्यादा टफ तरीके से मत करो. Okay, do not let them overpower you. That this is a very tough concept. Simply take it like exchange rate. Just like exchange rate, appreciate. Increase in exchange rate means appreciation. Okay, they are just simply exchange rate. वो किसी भी type का हो वो exchange rate है. Okay, they are simply exchange rate. Whatever type are they. So appreciation, depreciation. So increase in exchange rate is appreciation. Increase in REER, NEER or standard exchange rate, whatever it is, it would simply mean appreciation. Okay, if there is appreciation, first statement is increase in the exchange rate indicates appreciation of the rupee. So that is correct. Now, second statement is increase in the REER. Okay, there is appreciation in real exchange rate. Indicates improvement in trade competitiveness. No. If there is appreciation, domestic products will become more expensive in foreign currency. So this will actually reduce the trade competitiveness. So second is wrong. Third, increasing trend in domestic inflation relative to inflation in other country is likely to create increasing divergence between NEER and REER. This is actually easy. Okay, do not treat it very tough. Again, I'm saying treat it just simply like exchange rate. What did I tell you about real and nominal? In the real exchange rate, how do we calculate? We adjust the nominal exchange rate with comparative inflation rate of both the countries. So if there is too much of a difference between inflation rate of both the country, the real exchange rate will be very different. If both are similar, for example, if both are same, that means we are multiplying nominal exchange rate with 1. Okay, we divide it by ratio of exchange rate, inflation rate, sorry. If both countries have same inflation rate, means this ratio will be 1. And if we divide it by 1, that means real exchange rate will be same as nominal exchange rate. So if inflation difference between the two countries is too much, okay, increase trend in domestic inflation relative to inflation in other country, means in USA inflation is not increasing, but in India it is increasing, means there is too much of a difference in both inflation, then there will be increasing divergence. That is correct. Okay, treat it simply like nominal and real exchange rate. So 1 and 3 are correct. C is the answer. Sixth, this is also from 2022. Tight monetary policy of the US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. What is capital flight? That investors are taking money abroad from our market. From our market, they are taking money to other markets. So tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve. What is tight monetary policy? That means they are reducing money supply. That is what it means. When money supply reduce, interest rate increase. And when interest rate in USA increase, their bond become more attractive. Means more people will invest in American bonds compared to Indian bonds. So obviously there will be flight of rupee from dollars from India. People who have invested in rupee, they will take out money and they will invest that in dollars. So first is correct. Second, capital flight may increase the interest cost of the firm with existing ECB. That is correct. Basically, the companies which have taken loan from abroad, if the rupee value fall, basically what they have to pay back, that increases in rupee terms. So their interest burden in rupee terms will increase. So that is a standard thing, and that happens always. Devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk associated with ECB. If there is devaluation of domestic currency, then we have increase in the risk, not decrease in the risk. So, in fact, you must have heard of masala bond. What is masala bond? That Indian companies are borrowing from abroad, but they're borrowing in rupee terms. Means that borrowing dollar only. But they are saying that I will pay you back, but my exchange rate will be fixed. The exchange rate at which I've taken loan today, I will give you back at the same exchange rate. Okay, so basically they have taken 82 crore rupees from them, not 1 crore dollar from them, and they will pay back 5% or 4%, whatever interest they've taken loan, they will pay 5% on 82 crore, not on 1 crore dollar. If dollar value improve tomorrow, the rupee burden will not increase. So that happen in masala bond. That is why they are very popular. Now in this case, devaluation decrease the currency risk. This is wrong. Okay. Devaluation happens because of capital flight, and that is bad for the firms. So statement 2 is correct, that we have already said. So 3 can't be correct. 1 and 2 is correct. Next. Just give me 1 second, some technical error. Okay, this is a bit strange. I can't understand what is happening here. Okay, so there was some disturbance. Okay, so some technical error. Anyways, we are now looking at the next question. In which of the following are the possible consequences of increase of interest rate by US Federal Reserve of Indian market? Okay. Which of the following are possible consequences of increase of interest rate by US Federal Reserve? Basically, tight monetary policy that we discussed in another question. If US follows a tight monetary policy and increase the interest rate, what happens to India? Inflow of funds in Indian equity market, that is wrong. Okay, money will go out from India, not come into India. Strong dollar, weaker rupee, this is correct. The dollar will increase, rupee will fall. Depreciation, we have discussed this in the previous question. Make Indian bond more attractive for foreign portfolio follower, this is also wrong. Answer will be 2 only. Whether equity or portfolio, both become less attractive compared to foreign products. 8th, with reference to managed floating, I discussed what is managed floating. Consider the following statement. It is a mixture of flexible and fixed exchange rate, also known as dirty floating. This is wrong. Dirty is different from managed float. Second, the national government intervene to buy and sell foreign currency to moderate the exchange rate movement. This is correct about managed floating. So answer will be 2 only, B here. Question number 9. Okay, I told you there will be 2 questions on REER and NEER, and you just treat them like any exchange rate. The NEER is weighted average of the bilateral nominal exchange rates of the home currency in terms of foreign currency. That is correct. I told you this is average against number of other currencies. So how do we take an average? That is weighted average. Okay, geometrical average and weighted average. Second, real exchange rate is weighted average of nominal exchange rate adjusted for relative price differential. That is also correct. I discussed that from nominal to real, how do we convert? We divide it by ratio of the price in both countries, inflation in both countries. So that is also a correct, perfectly fair statement. Third, while the rate of inflation is adjusted in NEER, it is left unadjusted in REER. This is just opposite to the previous statement, and we have said that is correct. So obviously this is wrong. Answer will be 1 and 2. Last question for this session. Which of the following type of currency and their meaning is correctly matched? Hard currency, soft currency, and hot currency. Currency issued with the backing of gold and other very credible asset. Is that correct? Hard currency is a currency that does not fluctuate too much. That is how we define it. It is not necessary that it has to be backed up with gold. For example, dollar is a hard currency, but it is not backed up by gold anymore. So first is wrong. Second, soft currency. It is just a paper currency backed by government bond. This is also wrong. हार्ड करेंसी इज ऑल्सो पेपर करेंसी. हार्ड करेंसी कोई प्लास्टिक की या कपड़े की नहीं बनती या स्टील की नहीं होती. इट्स नॉट अबाउट द फिजिकल स्ट्रेंथ. ओके, इट्स अबाउट the strength, inner strength of those currency, that they are stable. Third, hot currency. It is a term used for forex market and it is temporary name for any hard currency. That is correct. Okay, so temporarily a hard currency can also be called hot currency. So C is the answer. And with that, we have finished this session. Now, those of you who are attending this session is the first session of mine, means they've not attended the other sessions. They might have noticed many problems today. Okay, the snoring sound of other people around me. Okay, the disturbing sound created by the very bad weather outside, and it is because of bad weather that I'm doing it here in my bedroom only when other people are sleeping. So unfortunately this is true for this recording and maybe for one more, because weather has been very bad and I can't help it. I'm not able to record it, okay, in the proper place. So there are some disturbances today. Okay, you can ignore them and just focus on the content. This is not there in other of my videos. You can freely subscribe and follow this this channel, okay, because this is a very temporary problem in this particular video. Okay, so do not judge the book by just its cover. And if you like this video, if you think this has contributed to you, please leave comment, ask questions in comment, provide your feedback in comments. That is actually very, very useful for this very small channel of mine. So kindly do the needful. Thank you. Best of luck.